Alright, cutscene time. That was short. So, now with Dr. Lindsey's chapter finished, we have nearly every rune necessary. So there are, I think, only something like 2 or 3 spells we can't cast at this point. Although we found the first 6, and we accidented upon number 11. So at this point, we're going to just fool around and cast them all with the Mantorok rune. Now, if we use the Mantorok rune to repair an item, it just gets repaired like normal. But when we enchant a weapon, see, now it is glowing with purple energy. Even sounds like it's kind of roaring like Mantorok. When it's enchanted like this, it is neither weak nor strong against any other enemy. But it does have a special effect. It will, well, the equivalent of poison the enemy, and they will slowly take damage over time, in addition to us whacking them. Now, recover is simple. That restores a little bit of all 3 of our bars, our sanity, our magic, and our health. Reveal Invisible actually does something interesting. Normally, if you cast Reveal Invisible with one of the other 3 alignments, you reveal the opposite alignment. So Chattur'gha would reveal Xel'lotath. But when you cast Reveal Invisible with Mantorok, it's you who becomes invisible. And while you're invisible, well, none of the enemies can see you. They can't attack you. Damage Field? Well, Damage Field is another one of those spells I rarely ever use. So this is the Mantorok version of it. An enemy can't walk through this field, otherwise they're going to get damaged and knocked back. Now I have to keep moving to restore our magic. So I'm going to walk around while we're casting these spells. Dispel Magic. Well, when you cast Dispel Magic with Mantorok, it will dispel any of the Ancients' barriers or abilities. But it also dispelled ours. So that's not so good. Now, Summon Trapper. You can't actually cast it with the Mantorok rune. The Mantorok rune cannot be used in summoning magics. The binding of Mantorok has weakened it, and it can no longer fuel incantations of this kind. So, we're not going to be able to summon any Mantorok monsters. I think the exception might be the zombie, but we're not at that point yet. Now those are all the spells we currently know. We also know this one. Spell 11 is, well, I'll let that happen a little later. We'll find the scroll for it and we'll have some fun. But we're at the point where we can cast any spell. And there are 5 more. And I think we can cast 3 of those 5 more. So we're going to do Protect and Self. So this is spell 7. We're going to cast it with Mantorok. Alright. When we cast this spell, we have a handful of little magical orbs flying around us. These will protect us. But because we use the Mantorok version, these little flying orbs will actually seek out enemies and damage them for us. Alright, so now we want project an area. This is spell 9. There is a spell 8. You can see between them. But we can't cast that yet. We're going to need larger magical circles, and we're going to need the final rune. But that creates a blast of magical energy. And since that magical energy is Mantorok's, it will damage everything. No, we don't want to enchant an item. Not yet, at any rate. And I think this is our last new spell. Don't know if we can use Mantorok in this one. We want protect, and we want creature. Unfortunately, though, we can't really use this spell just yet, because there's no creature to cast it on. But we're going to learn some more of these spells, and I think we're going to get our next rune and our next magic circle in the next chapter. So the question remains now is, where's the chapter page to go to the next chapter? Well, do you remember the stained glass window here? Protected by a magical barrier. Well, we can now dispel this magical barrier. As the magic window fades away, the piece of parchment that the maiden was holding is left behind. Floating in midair, it appears to be a chapter page. And Alex is going to retrieve it. And Alex has found the chapter page entitled Heresy. Alright, now this is a nice little cutscene. Let's just take a look at it.
Today, I am your master. Your task is to guard the artifact before you. Let no one touch it. food today. I am your master. Your task is to guard the artifact before you. Let no one touch it. I am your master. Your task is to guard the artifact before you. Let no one touch it.
So, Pius just summoned something huge and terrible. We're going to find out more about what that is as we play the Heresy chapter. This appears to be a page from the Tome of Eternal Darkness. It is entitled Heresy. Well, Alex is going to read it now.
In Europe, during the time of the Inquisition, paranoia and corruption ran deep. With the fear of devilry running rampant, the ancients' corruption extended far beyond mortal knowledge, corrupting all that could be corrupted. My researches uncovered an interesting incident. A Franciscan monk named Paul Luthor was traveling through the region of Amiens during the witch hunts of the Inquisition. Now, under martial law, the Inquisition prevented anyone from leaving the town and its nearby cathedral.
All right, we are in Amiens, France,
was suspect.
in 1485. And we're back at that same cathedral that Anthony was in.
Welcome to Oublié Cathedral,
Brother Luthor. I'm glad that our sacred order can bestow hospitality on our Franciscan brethren.
I shall not impose, Excellency. I merely request lodging and a viewing of the sacred relic, the Hand of Jude.
Many have traveled far and even risked their lives for a glimpse of the hallowed relic's true splendor. Of course, it would be wise to keep quiet during your stay. The Inquisition is here for a reason, brother. We seek to purge the deviancy from this town.
I am sure that will not be a problem. Amiens appears to be a peaceful hamlet.
It appears to be, but deviancy is secreted in the most deceptive places, which I believe is the case with Amiens.
Then I wish you luck in your search.
The Inquisition does not need luck, Brother Luthor. Faith and purity are our guides.
Yeah, this guy seems friendly. All hunched over with his monster mash face. Now, the chapel is significantly larger than when we visited it with Anthony. I am not a big fan of this chapter. It requires a lot more running around and back and forth than I like. And Paul Luthor here honestly isn't all that compelling of a character. And because there's so much running around, and he has such low stamina, he gets tired real quick. So it becomes less running around and more, I don't know, stumbling around, dragging around. Now, there's only so much we can explore at the moment. In fact, we're going to stop exploring right now. We're going to continue the story.
For the love of God! God! Help! Come quickly!
A murder! A murder most foul! What heresy is this?
I found him lying here, dead. I called the guards.
Is this our first suspect? Make sure no one touches the body. It must be examined for signs of devilry. As for this man, make sure he doesn't leave the cathedral. We will question him later.
But...
Hold your tongue, Franciscan, or it might bring my wrath upon thee. Who is to say that you did not commit this murder? If you trust in the Almighty, and you are indeed innocent, then you will have nothing to fear.
So poor Paul here has now been imprisoned. The door is locked. Luthor is being held under arrest, waiting for judgment and trial at the hands of the Inquisition. Luthor is also wholly unprepared for what's in front of him. He has this meditation rod. The priest's meditation rod is a small staff used as a focus for meditative prayer. Using it will allow Paul to meditate and regain some lost sanity. Well, not a bad thing, but remember, from the way we're playing, we actually want to keep our sanity low, so that way we're more likely to see these sanity effects. Now, before I get much further into his chapter, I should probably mention that Paul Luthor here is voiced by Paul Edding, or Eiding, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it. Now, he has been all over cartoons and video games in some smaller roles, but he does have some notable roles. I think in this case, his portrayal as Max Tennyson in the TV series Ben 10 is worth noting, but that's because he uses pretty much the same voice he does for his Metal Gear Solid character, which is Roy Campbell. So like I said, there's a lot of crossover here. A lot of these voice actors come from Metal Gear Solid and also come from Legacy of Kain, which makes sense because this is Silicon Knights and they produced the Legacy of Kain games. The painting captures Paul's attention. A small emerald disguised as part of the painting glints in the candlelight, as though it has some value beyond being a precious gem. And Paul is going to take that. Well, we needed to take it, so this would happen.
Are you here to pass sentence on me?
No, I'm here to free you. You are in incredible danger. This cathedral used to be a place of peace. Now many strange things happen here. I don't want you to end up like the others.
What do you mean?
The body you found was Brother Andrew, and he was killed to protect a secret. We can't talk about it here. Find me in the bell tower later, and I shall aid thee further.
Why are you releasing me?
I don't want to see another innocent die like your Franciscan brethren. I have seen Brother Andrew make numerous entries into his journal. This may contain the answers to the cathedral's dark secrets.
What can I do?
If I were you, I'd run.
They will surely hunt me if I run. This has to stop.
Then be it on your own head, Luthor. Find Brother Andrew's journals if you can. He spent time in the old tower investigating. I believe I can find the key to the old tower in one of my stores. Later, come find me in the bell tower, and I will give it to you. Be swift. We can't evade them forever.
Alright, so Paul is now convinced, or determined rather, to find out what is going on here. And looky. So we're back in this strange dimension where we can find the Tome of Eternal Darkness. Now notice something. Almost every time we've come back here, there was a new statue. But there is no statue here for Professor Lindsey. Well, that is because Professor Lindsey survived his encounters with the Tome of Eternal Darkness. Okay. So even though he has a tome, and he can, well, can cast spells if he really wants to, there aren't really any that are really good for him to be casting right now. I guess if we really wanted to, we could. I want to assign that, actually. Let's see. There we go. Yep. And now he has a little magical, well, shield helping to protect him. Okay, so it was down here we found the body. I think the body is still there. Well, if it is, we can't look at it. A single podium and lectern provides a platform for a priest giving a sermon to his congregation. There's a drawer recessed inside it. But it's locked. Great. Ah, some crossbow bolts. That's going to be Paul's weapon when we eventually find it. The cathedral's tabernacle is fashioned from aged varnished mahogany. Its doors are closed, and there doesn't appear to be any way of opening them manually. Alright, we could go downstairs, but we're going to check this corner first. Playing the organ is a daunting challenge for someone like Paul, who has no musical talent. Paul could probably play the organ if there was some music to play. Now, if I went around and didn't go towards the body, we could have checked out these rooms beforehand. We're going to check them out now. The woodcut shows acts of blasphemy. A host of demons prey upon humans like they were playthings. Disemboweled by mocking demons, eaten or tortured by other carnal, deviant acts. Yeah, it's a really unpleasant looking scene there. The rack carries robes and cloaks for ceremonial use. As Paul draws the robes back, something tumbles from inside. And there we go. There's the podium key. Alright, a heavy wooden chest sits against the room's wall. It appears to be old and worn. Let's open it up. There we go. Paul has acquired a crossbow. It's not a spectacular weapon, but it will work. The crossbow is a powerful, accurate weapon that shoots a wooden bolt. A tiny brass key for the podium in the cathedral apse. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. Apse. A quiver of crossbow bolts. The emerald's deep green surface reflects the light inside it perfectly. Its cut is the work of a master craftsman. Alright, there is a door down that way. But we can't open that door because that's the door to the old, what do you call it, the old tower? And what do we find inside? Notes. A diary page lies inside the open drawer. Should Paul take it? Now let's take a look at it. The Diary of Brother Andrew, page 1. I have finally arrived in Amiens, and my pilgrimage to see the Hand of Jude draws to a close. I cannot wait to lay eyes upon the sacred relic. My journey here has been arduous, and it shall be good to relax for a while in this peaceful village. Amiens is full of good people, strong in their faith and their role in our world. If the blight of witchcraft is present in this world, then I doubt it is in Amiens. Okay, so now we're going to go downstairs. We can already see some goodies here. Reliquaries. This desk bears a leather-bound book. And Paul has found the Book of Reliquaries. This is the forgery of the reliquaries dating back to the late 13th century, exquisitely illuminated and bound with hard leather. It reads, doubtless many obscure orders requiring more income than being granted from tithes resorted to forging ancient relics to bring people from outside their region to their dossiers, and thus became more lucrative. While it is said that a false hope is still hope, relics such as Cuthbert's jawbone, the Hand of Jude, and the infamous thigh-bone flute of Cognat, while being forgeries, deceived the righteous unjustly. Their existence as true relics is the utmost heresy. Well, that book suggests that the Hand of Jude is fake. This Spartan bed shows how the Order treats its visitors. There is no sign of the Order's own quarters, and this chills Paul to the bone. The only man that doesn't need a bed is a dead one. And here is Paul's weapon. Near the organ, a steel mace is mounted on the brick wall by means of a display armature. Alright. So we now have Paul's ranged weapon and Paul's melee weapon. Oh, do you hear that? Yup, it's a trapper. We have just the tool to deal with a trapper. Oh, that wasn't the only one. A wine cask used for maturing wine. The wine inside this one must be very strong, for it seeps through the cask, filling the air with a heady aroma. Yeah, most of these wine barrels say the exact same thing. Ooh. Knocking on this cask results in a hollow thud. Is it empty? But why when all the others are full of maturing wine? Should Paul turn the spigot? Well, that opens up a secret passage. And we're going to take a quick second to enchant our mace. And here's hoping I used the right enchantment. Because look what's hiding in there. And no, I did not use the right enchantment. The magic that counters Xel'lotath is Xel'lotath. Xel'lotath?
Enter by
Xel'lotath. I'll get it right eventually. Probably not going to get it right. Paul is going to need whatever advantage he can get. Because he is not a strong man. He does not hit very hard. But inside the beast, we found a sapphire. Okay, let me restore our magical shield. Sadly, it does not stack. It will just restore it to three orbs. The sapphire glows with a bright luminescence resulting from its stunning cut. Light is kept within its surfaces, giving it an almost ethereal hue. This pedestal has 3 indentations adorning its top, arranged in a circular formation. Each socket appears to be waiting for something. Well, we've seen this several times over the course of the game, and we know what it's waiting for. Yep, it is waiting for red, green, and blue objects to fill out the triangle. There's a massive granite vault carved with hideous bas-reliefs. Scratch marks running along the floor make it appear that the crypt has been moved many times. Now, I do believe at this point we've done all we can, and now we need to go see that custodian up in the bell tower. I sadly also believe that this is the point where enemies will start appearing. And look at this, poor Paul, already winded. Poor guy sounds like he's breathing as heavy as I do when I get on the treadmill. Oh. Zambambo. This is a Mantorok zombie. We can handle this no problem. Paul is nervous about ringing the bell, fearing his own capture. It is the custodian's task to ring the bell at appropriate times. Perhaps he will be by to ring it later. Should Paul ring the bell anyways? Well, yeah, he's the custodian here. And there he is.
Ah, Brother Luthor, not a moment too soon. As you have noticed, dread things inhabit this place. Shambling corpses, and worse.
There is darkness at work here, in the midst of the Inquisition.
I suspect it is worse than that, but I have no proof. Brother Andrew knew this also, and paid the price for it.
Why are you telling me this?
Perhaps you can finish off what Andrew started. Take this key. It unlocks the old tower. It has been sealed off since the Inquisition arrived.
I intend to uncover the truth behind this.
If you manage to uncover the source of darkness, return here, and I will do everything I can to help. Till then, brother, may your faith protect you.
And we now have the old tower key. Actually, do you have anything else to say? I don't think so, but... The custodian shakes his head and informs Paul that he does not have enough evidence to make accusations against Augustine. Yeah, Augustine, sure. There must be something else to find. Well, there is more to explore. There's that knocking again. Hey, Paul notes the door to the old tower is locked. Well, we have the old tower key. A large rusted iron key, used for access to the old tower. Uh-oh. Well, we just got to bear witness to how a bone thief takes control of a person. It quite literally forces its way inside of them through their mouth. And now it's out. Okay, we'll finish this one off. Now, the old tower is the part of the cathedral where Anthony had visited. Is this casket in readiness for Brother Andrew's body? Perhaps Augustine is blessing it, or perhaps it has more sinister purpose. It is almost as if the death was expected or arranged. Stop that. And there's a scroll. A scroll of aged paper sits on the dusty altar top. It seems to have been discarded. And we've just acquired the shield spell. That's what we've been using. Now we know what it is. And I should save. You know the rules. Save smart, save often. But also look at your items. In this case, our spells. A tattered scroll lined with curious writing and diagrams. It reads, "From all manner of magics will you be protected when encased in this geas. The alignment can help but never hinder. For within well-conjured magic comes greater protection. This requires the Mantorok and Santak runes." Alright, so that just sort of tells us that the shield is always beneficial to have up, even if it's not a conflicting or opposing alignment. Although the more appropriate shield that you have up, the better the effects. There's a bone thief. Come here, you. Now, up here, Anthony found the secret passage. Let's see if we find it. A sheet of music lies upon the bookshelf. One wonders what it sounds like. A piece of parchment with some musical notations written on it. It is somewhat tattered, probably through years of use. Well, we know a piano where we could use some sheet music. Lying on an abandoned easel is a sheet of tattered paper covered with scrolls of ink. And we found another diary page, and this one reads, "The Diary of Brother Andrew, page 2. I suppose it is understandable that they will not show me the Hand of Jude on such little notice, but I must confess that the preparations they make are most unusual. No acts of consecration, no daily prayer or worship are demonstrated by this strange order. One wonders if they are holy at all, let alone being under the auspices of the Grand Inquisition. Perhaps it is my naivety of our faith. There are many practices associated with it, and they greatly differ from region to region. Perhaps Amiens is merely more eccentric than others. A bewildering array of books and tomes sorted neatly into a set of shelves, mostly books of a religious nature, awaiting scholars such as Paul to pursue their contents. Nope, Paul says the same thing. So nope, no secret passages here. But down over here is the bishop's room. Oh. That doesn't sound good. Remember in here Anthony found the dead body of Charlemagne? It seems that Anthony's body has been rotting here for centuries. And he is after us. Now, thankfully, he's not much more difficult than any other zombie that we've met. Although I'd say he's probably faster, and that sword can be a problem. Alright. Did we defeat him? No, that curse is still working its insidious magic. Now, I think that's something we did not see during Anthony's chapter, but I don't think the curse allows him to die. So if we were, beaten by an enemy, we would just see that magical aura and he would stand back up. But I'm guessing Paul just gave him last rites or prayed for his soul, and now Anthony can rest. Now, in addition to that red jewel we just got, we also get the two-edged sword. And we can use that instead of the mace. Now, Paul doesn't seem to be great at using it, but it is better than the mace. Okay, I think while it's quiet, I'm going to enchant our crossbow. Mostly so that we'll be towards the top of the item menu. Because we're going to mostly be switching between that and the sword. Oh. Oh, what happened here? Look, the windows are blown out. People are screaming. What's going on here? Wow, it's like medical tents are set up. What's going on? I can hear gunfire and bombs. It's a good question, Paul. What is going on here? Alright, we're not going downstairs yet. We're going to go over here and use the sheet music. Okay. By means of bellows and pumps, the pipe organ is able to play deeply moving music. It has the power to inspire faith and to influence the hearts beyond the control of the mind. Paul is going to play the organ. Alright, so down there is the sheet music that we want to play, and to the right of that is the layout of the GameCube controller. We want to press the corresponding buttons that go along with these notes. Okay, so let's see if I can do this right. Now look what's in there. This is the tabernacle is almost empty. There are none of the things that should be there, such as holy water and other ritualistic items. Only a circle of power laying on the lower shelf. Paul has acquired a circle of power, and this is a 5-point circle of power. Paul has acquired a 5-point circle of power. Now, each of the 3-point spells can be powered up by using the power rune. So here's where the spell casting system here, I don't want to say falls apart, because it's not falling apart, it just kind of shows the simplicity of it. Instead of being able to choose 5 different runes and see what different spell effects you get, what you do is you use the 2 runes from a 3-point spell, and you get a final 10th rune that will enhance the power of the spell. So, for example, we'll get enchantment spells that last longer. The shield spell will have more orbs. Summoning spells will summon more powerful enemies. Barriers and magical attacks will be stronger, and so forth. Sadly, though, and almost annoyingly, I would say, is that if we go to our spell list and pick one of these spells, we don't have the choice to just use the 5-point circle. We have to manually use a new spell with the 5-point circle, and then it becomes usable from the scroll. A deep crimson ruby cut with intimate care and workmanship. Light is trapped within its recursive faucets, making it appear to glow from within. Facets. Okay, another secret passage. Mantorok zombies. Well, we know what to do with these guys. Oh, and look at this little pygmy zombie. Oh, you know what? That is a good question. In the chat, they just asked, do powered up spells cost more magic? And the answer is yes. They also take more time to cast. So, some spells in the middle of combat are better to cast lower level versions of. And some spells are so expensive that characters might not even be able to cast them at all, just due to having such a low level of magic. And there is our final rune. Now, we don't know what this rune is called yet. Although if we wanted to, we could use it in whatever spells we wanted to. And look, there's that bust. You got that same bust back in the Roivas estate, and it also follows us around. So yes, when you cast an enhanced version of a spell, if it is a time-limited spell, the time limit will be longer. Or if it does damage, the damage will be higher. Or if it recovers health or sanity or whatnot, the recovery will be greater. Now that is a red horror. So we need Xel'lotath magic. Oh jeez! So yeah, we got whacked. We get interrupted in casting our spells, they fail. And Paul is not a powerful character. He needs all the help he can get. Oh, jeez. Get out of here, man. Okay, that wasn't what I wanted. Actually, it was what I wanted. I don't know what I'm talking about. But we knocked out one of the creature's heads. Let's try to knock out the other two. The door's locked. And the dead keep it. An effigy of a monk, reclining on a sacrificial altar. A deep groove bisects its chest. The monk's face looks almost exactly like the custodian's. The inscription reads, "Only when thy friend is sacrificed, with his cries fill the air, when his cries fill the air, will the great door be open to thee." So anybody who's ever played a video game ever in their life can very easily tell that this is a puzzle, and this puzzle requires us to put something there in its chest. So you would probably think, let's look around until we find it. Well, the thing is, we're not going to find it if we look around. And this is the room where Anthony found the bishop and got the bishop's key. Actually, I don't think it was the bishop, but he found the monk that had the bishop's key. As further proof of the heresy within this dark cathedral, a table bears arcane documents. Diagrams and sigils pertaining to demonic craft are scattered across this recently used table. And there we go, some more crossbow bolts. Dang it, did I sit on the remote?
This can't be happening!
Poor Paul. Arcane documents and treatments of the demonic arts. Paul dare not touch them for fear of the taint of evil. This shelf appears to be recessed into the wall, not quite as flush as the others in the room, almost as if it could slide inward. Let's have Paul push the shelf. Yep, no water puzzle this time. Look at the tiny pygmy zombie. A torn diary page has been placed on the shrine. So, on more than one occasion, I've played this game, and, you know, I would either be trying to get through it quickly or just having fun playing through it, and I would often miss this codex right here. This is the Pargon Codex. Tucked into a niche in the wall, a stone tablet is found. Paul has acquired a magical codex. Alright, by adding Pargon runes to a spell, it can be powered up by intensifying its effects. So you're going to get used to hearing the Pargon sound a lot. So, I think what we're going to do, well, first we'll kill this zombie. And we're going to take time to essentially cast a 5-point version of every spell. Now, we can use the Mantorok rune for most of these spells, but I think there's 1 or 2 that we cannot. So first we'll do the recover. Actually, no, we'll do enchant. It doesn't matter what order you use the runes, just that you use the correct ones. And we want, what do we want? We want project and item. And then 2 Pargon runes. So we now have in the spell list the 3-point and 5-point version of enchant item. And I think I will assign the 5-point version with Chattur'gha to Y. Alright, next is recovery, and that we can use Mantorok, and we want absorb and self. But first we'll do the 2 Pargon runes. There's self. And there's absorb. Okay, and next we have reveal invisible, which is absorb and area. And like I mentioned earlier, if you use Mantorok in the reveal invisibility spell, instead of revealing things that are invisible, you become invisible yourself. Alright, damage field. So 2 Pargons, and then we want project and area. Wait a minute, did I do that right? I did project. I should have done protect. Protect. Area. Pargon, Pargon. Next. 2 Pargons, and then Dispel an area for the Dispel magic. So, do you remember our Summon Trapper spell? Now, Mantorok cannot be used. Actually, maybe he can be used in this one. Let's find out. We need Summon, and we need Creature. Now that's what it would be on a 3-point circle. It would be Summon Trapper. But if it's a 5-point circle, well, it's Spell 8. Spell 8 is the only summon creature spell that we can use with Mantorok. And for those of you who are clever, you've probably figured out why. That's because that is Summon Zombie, and there are only Mantorok zombies in the game. Alright, now we're going to do Shield. I prefer using the opposing alignment over Mantorok because a Mantorok shield will actually attack enemies for us. And that uses up our orbs, and we really want those orbs around to protect us. So we need self and we need protect, not project. I will assign the 5-point circle to the down button. Okay, what's next? Spell 9, which I think we already did by accident. Now we're going to do spell 11, which one of our friends in the chat told us about earlier. That is summon plus area. And that one I also want to assign. And I prefer using the Mantorok rune for that one. Okay, last one. This one is project, or rather it's protect and creature. So 2 paragons, creature, protect. We don't know what spell 12 is yet, but we do know that there needs to be a creature around for it to work. Alright, so now we have, I think, 5 or 6 orbs protecting us in the shield spell. And our enchanted sword will last substantially longer. But we're also going to save. No. Actually, no, this is the right thing to use against insanity. Use muscle against insanity. We want to save, so that way we don't have to go through casting all those spells again. Did I read the new note? No, I did not. The Diary of Brother Andrew, page 3. With a shudder, my heart turned to ice. I came to the brutal realization that the entire order were heretics, and that I was in incredible jeopardy. Who knows how long they had kept their dark secrets, masquerading as custodians of the Hand of Jude, when in fact they guarded a damnable relic, the essence of the unholy Chattur'gha. And used it to lure potential victims to their hideous sacrifice. I felt sick, and despite my faith, I felt intense fear and hopelessness. I know that I must escape this place before they suspect my knowledge. I must warn the world and notify the real Inquisition of their presence. Knowing death is just around the corner, and fearing every moment, I commit these words to paper. Augustine will find this book. I will remove certain pages and hide them, so that all who may follow might discover the truth before it is too late. So at this point, all we know is there is this sarcophagus and this locked door. And you would think we got to put something in that sarcophagus. You're right, we do. But the question is, where do we get it? We don't have it yet. And we can't get it yet. Well, not that we can't get it yet. We could not get it until this point. And where do we go to get it? Well, we go all the way back to the beginning of the stage. Back up the tower. And go see the custodian. Ooh, what are you looking at? Hidden in the alcoves of this mausoleum lie the remains of departed monks. Some have turned into dust. Others have grotesquely withered, leaving husks of bone and leathery skin. Alright, buddy. Go ahead. Run, 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 run. Use up all your energy. Poor guy. Poor guy. That's the way I feel when I go running for too long.
Brother Andrew suspected Augustine all along. I managed to find remnants of his journal, and it all points to Augustine's involvement with a paganistic cult operating inside the cathedral.
Aye, the cathedral's dark secret has been uncovered. I too suspected this, but was too afraid to act. Augustine himself is a heretic.
He has covered his tracks well, claiming that the sacred relic, the Hand of Jude, was stored here. He had those who came to see it murdered. The Hand of Jude never existed.
And with that realization, the trap closes, brother. My days here are numbered. I awoke to find this cruel dagger placed upon my pillow this morn. It can only mean one thing. I know too much, and they are moving to silence me. I can only hope that what little faith I have left is enough to save my soul. Please, take this thing away from me. Its very sight troubles me to no end. May your faith protect thee, Brother Luthor, for that's all you have.
Well, that and a big heavy mace. Oh, something is happening behind him. Although if we turn around and go back to see him, go on. Now, somebody in the chat is asking, what are those orbs flying around us? Well, that's exactly what they are. They are orbs, and they are part of the shield spell that we cast earlier. Those will protect us from attacks. Essentially, depending on how hard we're hit, a number of those orbs will disappear instead of us taking damage. Uh-oh. Come here, you. Horrible little nightmare creature. So we found the sacrificial dagger. Or rather, we were given the sacrificial knife. An ornate, long-bladed knife used to sacrifice humans. For Paul to even pick it up, it is repulsive, for the sense of evil it emanates is intense and unnerving. The souls this blade has taken live on within its metal. And now we run all the way back to that sacrificial sarcophagus we saw. Ah, and there are critters down here. Oh, careful. That's a trapper. You know what we do with trappers. there's something I really kind of like about the way he reloads his crossbow. I am not going to profess to be any kind of expert on medieval or Renaissance or Dark Age weaponry, but I do have an interest in them, and as I understand, is some of these crossbows, the drawstring on them was tremendously heavy. Like so heavy you need to use a lever to help you pull them. But some of them were designed that you would just brace them you would brace them against the ground and hold them with your feet, and then use one or both hands to pull them back into place. What's the matter? You can't leave? Oh, come on, let us out. Stupid insanity effects. Actually, the insanity effects are great, but sometimes they do things like that. Okay, let's use our sacrificial knife. Ugh. And you know what? That didn't even unlock the door. It revealed a secret passage. Actually, hang on. What happens if we examine it now? The monk in the effigy has been sacrificed. A dagger protrudes from a deep groove within his chest. The echoes of his screams still reverberate in Paul's ears. And here we have a 5-point Xel'lotath magical field. So we need a 5-point Chattur'gha or a 5-point Mantorok to spell magic. And there's what remains of our custodian friend. Laying in a pool of his own blood is the custodian, Paul's only ally in his fight against the darkness. His soul no doubt lingers, fused to the altar on which his life has been taken, watching over his own rapidly cooling corpse. Feeling all hope escape him, Paul's situation is suddenly 1,000 times more desperate than before. Now he is alone against the darkness.
You are a clever man, Brother Luthor. Wanting answers to clarify your new position as fugitive, you seek them out, and this is what you find. Tell me, what does a man such as yourself think of when he finds a viper's nest of heresy? When he finds the very source of corruption?
I think of irony. Irony of what you, masquerading as a member of the Inquisition, stand for. And that you stand for evil.
Evil is merely a perspective which no longer concerns me, Luthor. You will be executed in the most painful manner imaginable. After we have broken your frail body and mind in the name of our true Lord, Xel'lotath. Come, my children, feast on this morsel, and let us return to our preparations.
Alright, so a couple of little bone thieves are coming up to eat us. Again, depending on the alignment we chose at the beginning of the game, there'll be different bone thieves here. That also goes double for the Guardian at the end of the level that we're going to meet. I know I'm kind of giving it away a little bit, but I figure I should probably start talking about it now. That creature that we saw Pius summon earlier in the game is waiting for us. And it will be a different creature depending on which alignment we choose at the beginning of the game. Like I did with some of the other episodes, I will splice in some footage of him summoning the other Guardians, as well as what happens when Paul meets them. The door is decorated more than most within the catacombs. Sensing an immense evil behind this door, Paul wonders if the ceremony the monk had mentioned earlier is taking place behind it. Should Paul enter and put an end to the heresy? Go for it, Paul.
Your task, my liege and greater guardian, is to guard this place. Do not worry about this worm. His kind yelps in terror at the sight of your mightiness.
Yep.
We will dispose of him.
Augustine was pious. Ugh. Nasty.
If I am to guard this place, then I will do it as I see fit. Be gone, leave me, and I will guard this artifact as you have instructed.
Well, and Paul's chapter comes to an unceremonious end.
The one that seeks to do combat with me.
Your task, my liege and greater guardian, is to guard this place. Do not worry about this worm. His kind yelps in terror at the sight of your mightiness. We will dispose of him ourselves.
If I am to guard this place, then I will do it as I see fit. Be gone, leave me, and I will guard the artifact as you have instructed. This is the one that seeks to do combat with me.
Your task, my liege and greater guardian, is to guard this place. Do not worry about this worm. His kind yelps in terror at the sight of your mightiness. We will dispose of him ourselves.
Do it as I see fit. Be gone, leave me, and I will guard the artifact as you have